Welcome to the Debate Corner channel. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date with future videos. The more comments received, the more videos will be made. Let's get started. Now to the job description. The moderator is responsible for managing the flow of the debate, ensuring that it stays on schedule, and that each candidate has equal opportunities to speak. This includes transitioning between topics and managing the time allotted for each segment. They enforce the rules of the debate, which include time limits for responses, prohibitions against interruptions, and guidelines for the candidate's conduct. They also address any rule violations or issues that arise during the debate. The moderator prepares and poses questions to the candidates on a range of topics, often based on current events, policy issues, or voter concerns. These questions are designed to elicit informative and revealing responses from the candidates. They manage interactions between candidates, including facilitating rebuttals and ensuring that candidates address each other directly and respectfully. They may also intervene if candidates speak over one another or stray from the topic. The moderator must remain impartial, avoiding any appearance of bias toward any candidate or political party. Their goal is to provide a balanced platform for all candidates. If a candidate's answer is unclear, or if there's a need for clarification, the moderator may ask follow-up questions or request additional detail. They may also summarize key points to ensure clarity for the audience. In case of any technical difficulties, such as audio or visual problems, the moderator works to address these issues quickly to minimize disruption to the debate. Overall, the moderator's role is to create a structured and fair environment where candidates can present their views and engage in meaningful discussion with each other. With this being said, they failed from the very beginning of the debate. Within the first few minutes of the debate, Harris said, "You're going to hear, from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name-calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again." This is where the moderators should have stepped in to prevent misinformation. Keep in mind, the main question was, when it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago? They are to keep the flow of the debate topics straight, so we won't see another debate of who has a better handicap in a game of golf. Let's give her a quick fact check while we're at it. Trump and the Heritage Foundation have both openly stated that he is not running with the Heritage Foundation's playbook. Project 2025 is only a compilation of ideas that a president could look into when elected. It has been around since 1973, which is more than 50 years ago. Many people could come up with ideas that he should implement, but it doesn't mean that he will. He'll only implement things that he believes would be beneficial during his presidency to help the American people. When you look at it in hindsight, I feel as if she is setting up the mood for the rest of the debate so that it'll work more in her favor. It's as if she knows what will make Trump get heated in the debate, in which he will retaliate, because he can only be disrespected so much before he'll take action. Many might see this as a bad temperament, but this is something you want in a president. Someone who knows what is best for the economy, has a plan, and a backbone. Other world leaders also see this as a president who refuses to be a pushover, which is imperative to our success. A weak leader is also a weak country that everyone will take advantage of, which we have been witnessing for the last 3.5 years. Harris also stated that Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy. Fact check. The United States is not a democracy, but actually a constitutional federal republic. America seceded from Britain in 1776 because they are a democracy, and for a variety of other reasons, whether it be for protecting individual rights, making sure Americans would be better represented, separation of powers within the government, or also avoiding a monarchical tyranny. Many of Americans know that this current administration isn't what America needs. They are failing to represent us, spend our tax dollars irresponsibly, fund illegal immigrants' benefits from our hard-earned tax dollars, as well as letting thousands of them pour into the United States, getting involved in wars that had nothing to do with us, making housing unattainable for the middle class and lower, high prices on groceries, high prices on gas, you name it, they've increased it. If their view of the American dream is to do your best to survive, they're out. Period. Back to the debate. Harris also claims that they had to clean up Trump's mess he left them with. With everything I mentioned previously, that too was false rhetoric. She also states that she believes that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. While this statement is true, in order to achieve it, we need a Republican president in office. The current administration is doing everything the exact opposite of what America wants. Unless, of course, you enjoy high prices on everything and illegals taking over the country by storm, figuratively looting everything or squatting in homes we've worked hard for. Harris says, Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. The Great Depression had almost reached a 25% unemployment rate, compared to the pandemic, which was at 14.8%. By the time Trump had left office, it was down to 6.3%. Other presidents that had a higher percentage of an unemployment rate were as follows: Jimmy Carter with 7.5%, George H.W. Bush with 7.3%, and George W. Bush with 7.8% by the time they left office. So, by Harris to say that his unemployment rate was the highest since the Great Depression is simply false. I'm not entirely sure which chart she looked at or if she tried to slip in a quick lie hoping it would go unnoticed, but it didn't. Continuing on to the border crisis, she claims that there was also a bill made that would increase the Border Patrol agents. This bill would also help with the fentanyl situation coming across the border. She says it'll help prosecute those attempting to traffic in guns, drugs, and other human beings. She says that Trump, along with other Republicans, were against the bill, and that's why it didn't pass. Then Harris states, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader. Oh, I'll have some fun with this one. After doing some research, this bill would allow 5,000 illegal immigrants to be detained at the border a day, screened, deported, and the rest would simply be turned away. With the millions that are already here, that bill should just simply say to turn them all away. At the rate they are coming in, if you think California's streets are bad, the United States is going to become quite the tent city. Americans already know that they aren't here to seek so-called asylum. People from all over the place are coming here and all at once. It was planned 110%. When it started to get out of hand, the only thing she did to try and prevent it was by saying on national TV, "Do not come, do not come." Also, any bill that they try to pass that will help us get back to the beginning before consequences of the situation that they created took place. It always has something in the bill that is on their agenda that no one else agrees with. An example could be if they offered to close the border down, then they'd throw in a portion in fine print where millions of dollars will go here or go there, go anywhere. The same bill she speaks of would still allow 5,000 in a day to be screened and turned away, which is a start. But it also has millions of dollars being sent to Ukraine and Israel, both of which seem to be wars that are never going to end. In my opinion, the war in Israel should have been already over, but they continue to have a ceasefire after ceasefire. The moment they refuse to release the hostages is the moment they should have given them no choice by forcefully ending the war and getting it over with. In a war situation such as theirs, you simply do not negotiate with the enemy. With all the ceasefires, more and more innocent lives are put in harm's way and getting killed because they aren't taking action to get them out of there. In Ukraine's war, that's a whole different story. But at the end of the day, Americans only want the border closed. Nothing extra added to any of the bill. Close the border. Before Trump was given the chance to speak again on the border crisis, or about the bill that didn't pass, she quickly switched topics to talking about Trump rallies. Maybe she changed topics due to the fact that in the past, she has spoken of giving illegal immigrants a temporary protected status contributing to the immigration crisis instead of helping to prevent it. This in turn threatens our overall homeland security. When she said, "I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised," I feel as if she mentioned it up front to cover up the fact that she was responsible for it. Almost like it's better to tell someone the truth the first time instead of letting them find out later that you were involved. Anyways, this is where the moderators should have stepped in and directed the conversation to continue to stay on course. But they let her continue instead on an unrelated topic instead of the question that was asked. She goes on about how everyone leaves out of exhaustion and boredom during a Trump rally. I feel as if I need to ask just how many would actually attend her rallies. Then again, the only way to get a crowd for her would be for rumors of certain music artists to circulate that they will be attending so people would actually show up, then letting everyone down when everyone was already in attendance. One of the artists in question recently fully endorsed Harris. Her songs are mostly about failed relationships and bad choices that she negatively depicts others instead of herself. She sounds perfect for the Democratic Party, for which they too have many bad choices, created plenty of bad relationships along the way, receive millions of dollars in revenue from hardworking Americans, blame others for their mistakes, and never showed up when you think they would have. As far as Harris saying that now is the time we actually need a leader, we've needed one for the past 3.5 years. It's a bit hard to be a leader when you spend most of your presidency at a beach without a care in the world, playing golf, figuring out how stairs work, trying to find ways off of stages, mumbling incoherently, falling asleep at conferences, asking for nothing to happen past 8 p.m. because he's too tired by then, asking where the deceased are in the crowds, and falling off of bicycles. Later on in the debate, Kamala continues to push the idea that we should continue to move forward, turn the page, and not go back to the past. However, I strongly advise that the road the current administration has taken needs to be cut short and rerouted onto a different path. Otherwise, the United States will no longer be united by any means. The path that they have taken has cost us severely, and Trump being elected is the only solution to stop it. Harris needs to step aside and go back to laughing like a hyena, talk about yellow school buses, and professing her love for Venn diagrams, while Trump gets our economy back on track and the border back to being secure. Maybe she was onto something. We really do need to move forward, but starting with a new chapter, one preferably without the current administration in it. Something else that was said in the debate that Americans need to pay close attention to was Harris's failure of gaslighting Trump when she said, well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president, you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me, complete with a smirk, as if she was proud of herself. This is great considering that Trump had no political or military experience before he became president, and she has been in politics for over 20 years. Putting that in perspective, Trump did something in his first year that she hasn't achieved in 20+ years. So in saying this, that's like a teacup chihuahua attempting to assert dominance over a pit bull. For someone that supposedly wants to bring Americans together, she sure is showing her unity while attempting to make herself sound superior and distancing herself from her opponent. Another question that arises, the moderator asked Harris, Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? She quickly changed the subject and said that she had met with Zelensky over 5 times. Afterwards, she accused Trump of adoring strong men instead of caring for democracy. Again, as stated earlier, America is not a democracy, it's a republic. If she wants to continue calling it as such, she needs to learn the Pledge of Allegiance and stand corrected. Unto the republic for which it stands makes it blatantly obvious. While she would be the type to aid those being attacked, he is the type that will go to the ones doing the attacking, just to keep them in line and on the same page to prevent attacks from happening in the first place. That's why there were no wars while in Trump's presidency and multiple in the current administration. They respected Trump, they don't respect her and never will. The only key takeaways that I've got from this debate is that Harris dropped the what can be, unburdened by what has been quote and exchanged it with, we have so much more in common than what separates us. She also has said at the end of the debate that she will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. Yet Trump made it clear that the government doesn't have a say-so in the matter under him because he left that up to the states to decide, not him. She claims that while serving as a prosecutor, she only asked the victims or witnesses if they are okay. As an American myself, I don't want to be asked that. I want a president that will take charge of any situation even before they arise, not become the United States mother. We need a bold president that will lead the way to overcome any obstacles that we may have, and one that will be best for America as a whole. One of the mistakes that I've also noticed is the fact that the moderators had fact-checked Trump a total of 5 times and never fact-checked Harris once. Moderators are to be impartial and not to become involved in the debate. If they want to fact-check, they can do so on their own news network on their own time and not during a live debate. They also failed to keep Harris on topic throughout the debate numerous times. When she didn't have an answer, she would talk about another topic that she may have rehearsed beforehand, using it as a lifeline during a question she had no answer for. I will give credit where credit is due, and say that the moderators gave them more time to finish their thoughts after times were expired. It's always been a pet peeve of mine when moderators would cut anyone off mid-sentence, leaving their statements incomplete.
My final thoughts: what happened to our country? As I grew up, Democrats and Republicans used to at least try to work together to make America prosper. Now they are just enemies. News outlets spread lies and propaganda to make each other look bad. Social media sites block free speech and sometimes ban your account because you don't share the same views as their administrators. I want an America to be proud of, not one that people despise and create an environment for which we all suffer and only the rich can benefit from. We need a strong economy again like we had 4 years ago, and not an economy where people think they can sell their home for quadruple the value when salaries and wages haven't changed in years. Americans want to be able to afford to eat actual food, not for some to only be able to afford ramen to survive. We also need a president that doesn't have to fake an accent to sway a vote, attempting yet failing to be even remotely relatable to the public they are trying to reach. We need someone that will fight for us and our futures, instead of someone that is trying to get the votes by any means necessary just to be able to collect a paycheck. What were your opinions of the debate? Let us know in the comments below and have a wonderful day.